Hello and welcome to Anthropology 317, Medical Anthropology. My name is Tracy Ludke. I'm the professor for this course. I am a medical anthropologist by training, and I'm also a faculty member here in the Northeastern Anthropology Department. So first and foremost, I just want to say welcome. I'm glad to have you along with me for this course. Some of you I've had in class before, so to you I'll say good to see you again. Some of you I haven't had classes with before, so welcome, and I'm happy to be working with you for this summer session course. This is a cultural anthropology course. We are going to be looking at the subjects of health, illness, and healing in cultural context. That is really sort of the main subject that we'll be addressing. And what you'll learn in this course is how anthropologists in particular, cultural anthropologists, think about illness, wellness, the practices and procedures that people in different places in the world use to heal themselves and others, and the sort of global context for both health inequities and some of the sort of contemporary phenomena that have bearing on public health. So in this just very quick welcome video, really what I want to do is give you a quick tour of our D2L site and the syllabus, so you know how to find stuff. And in terms of content, we'll really get into that in Unit 1. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so here we are on the main sort of landing page for our D2L page. So some of this stuff I'm sure you know your way around, but let me just point out a few highlights. So on the home page, you have a quick overview of the course, some sort of, orienting information about what it's about, what we'll be doing, a little bit about me. And one of the more important things on here is a couple of sort of contact info kinds of items. It lists my student office hours, which are on Monday afternoons. You can come by my office. This is an online class, but I still will be in person on campus for that period of time. Or you can always go to my office hours by Zoom. And some other information. If you can't come to my office hours, that's fine. Just shoot me an email and we can find a time to meet. And then it also sends you to the Start Here folder, which is where you're going to go first to find the syllabus and other information you need to orient yourself to the course. Okay, so that's our home page. The place where you're going to find most of the things that you're going to need for this course is the Content tab, all right? So this has the table of contents, which shows all the units of the course across our sort of period of time, our 6 weeks or so together. It's divided into 8 units. And you'll see as I sort of walk you through this, that each unit is organized in a similar way, where you have an overview, you have some things to read, you have a lecture to watch, sometimes you have a film, and then you'll also have assignments or discussions or whatever listed under there. All right, so the place to start is the Welcome Start Here unit. You're already here because you're watching this video. This is also where you can find the syllabus. In a moment, I'm going to return to that and we'll walk through it. As I said, along the side here, you see the units into which the course is organized. So if you click on a unit, you'll see all the materials you'll need. So this first unit that we're going to work through in these first few days of the course, you have 3 readings. You have a lecture. It's a video lecture. So it's something that's kind of like what we're doing right now, right? It's like a video of me talking and explaining things. And then I've also provided the PowerPoint that is used in that lecture, so you can look at it separately if you want to, right? So every unit is organized pretty similarly to that. Unit 2, right, which we'll go to a little later in the week, 2 readings, the lecture, it's a link to the video lecture, the PowerPoint, and then you'll also start to see when there is some kind of assignment due, it'll also be linked here in this content area, right? So you've got a discussion. You can just go ahead and click on it. It'll take you to the discussion area. And we have our first quiz starting at the end of this unit, okay? So you can also access those things like discussions, assignments, quizzes up here, right? I'll show you that in a moment. But everything that you're going to need to do, I've also put into this area under content so you don't have to fish around and try to find stuff, okay? If you look here, then you also get a quick overview of the topics we'll be working on during the course of the semester. We're going to start just with sort of trying to understand what medical anthropology is. This is an LEX course, and one of the things that means is, even though it's a 300 level anthropology course, you do not need to have taken any anthropology courses as a prerequisite, right? You can take this course without ever having had any anthropology before. Some of you have had anthropology, some of you haven't, right? And that's fine. So what that means is we need to spend a little bit of time just talking about, like, what is anthropology, and also what is medical anthropology? What is the kind of distinctive approach of cultural anthropologists to subjects of health, which is very different, for example, than the approach of a biologist, right? Or a physician. So we want to, again, in these first few units, get a sense of what this field is about as a particular approach to these topics. Once we've done that, we're going to dig into more specific areas of research that medical anthropologists are interested in. We'll talk about global health, particularly thinking about health inequities and how sort of different parts of the world experience different kinds of health challenges and have different kinds of or different levels of access to healthcare and to health technologies. We'll talk a little bit more theoretically about body and self. One of the things that medical anthropologists look at is really what we even mean, or what people mean in a particular cultural world by, wellness or affliction or suffering or illness. And a lot of that takes place at the level of the person and the body, your individual body, right, is where you feel those aches and pains, etc. So that is an area then that needs to be theorized, like what is a body, right? What is a person? Those things may seem sort of like they go without saying, but for cultural anthropologists, that's something that we need to actually think about, because the ways that bodies and persons are conceptualized is not the same everywhere. That's a very culturally relative set of concepts. So we'll talk about, in units 5 and 6, suffering from various vantage points, both individual suffering and what anthropologists sometimes call social suffering, suffering across populations. And then we'll have our last 2 units be about healing, including healing practices and healers of various sorts. Some of those healers and some of those healing practices are in the field of biomedicine, right? So we're going to treat biomedicine as just one cultural approach to health and healing, alongside others that may employ things like spirits or traditional medicines, okay? So that's sort of a quick overview of what we're going to do. All right, let's go back and take a quick look at our syllabus, which is the most important document in here in D2L. I strongly encourage you, if you haven't already, once you're done with this video, to take some time to really go through the syllabus carefully. It really tells you everything you need to know. Okay, so here we are on our syllabus. The first few pages are general information about the course and policies. Again, I'm not going to go through every single word right now. I encourage you to read it yourself, but I will point out a few things that are important. You will see that the assignments are listed here. The assignments for the course are going to include 3 categories. You're going to do discussions, you're going to do quizzes, and there's an interview paper, a written paper due. That's due at the end of the course. So the instructions are here, and you can go to each of these parts of D2L to see more explicit instructions. We'll talk about this more certainly as the course moves forward. So you have the sort of breakdown of the grade, so you know where the different components or how the different components are weighted toward making up your final grade, right? Course policies, a lot of this is stuff you may know. I will draw your attention especially to the academic integrity policy. As all courses at the university do, this course follows the Northeastern Student Code of Conduct, which if you haven't read, you should read it. It's linked right here. And it outlines expectations around cheating, plagiarism, etc. I will also add that use of ChatGPT or any kind of AI software is not accepted in this course. So please understand that if you use AI, you will receive a 0 on your assignment. Okay, so just make sure you don't do that. Please do your work yourself. If you have any questions about any of that academic integrity stuff, please feel free to ask me. I'm happy to talk about it further. The other stuff is, access to resources. If you need support, certainly you can come to me, but we also have a lot of resources on campus, through the library, through the Learning Support Center, etc. So again, on your own, please take a look at all those policies carefully. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, so when we get down here to page 5, we get into our weekly schedule. I've already given you a sneak peek at that through the table of contents in the D2L site. Here's the more detailed version of it, right? So moving through a series of units, each with its own topic or emphasis, and each including certain things you're going to do. For every unit, there's going to be some reading and a lecture, okay? That's a sort of standard part. For some units, there'll be other stuff like a discussion or a quiz. Sometimes there's a film. We're going to see a couple of films. One is down here in Unit 4, a film called Unrest. And then we have another one down here in Unit 8, a film called The Split Horn. Okay, and again, all the readings, all the lectures, all the films, everything is linked or posted as a PDF in D2L. So you don't need to buy anything. You don't need to go find anything, right? If you use D2L, you'll be able to access all the materials you need for the course. So I've already talked through sort of the subjects. Again, the assignments, the discussions and quizzes are throughout the course of our time together. You'll see that sort of they are periodically coming up. The written assignment, the interview paper, is due at the very end, okay? I will talk about it at other points before we get to that, but that will be a thing that hopefully through what you're learning in the course will put you in a good position to do that paper that's due at the very end, all right? So again, you can also find more information up here through these tabs, but most of it's either in the syllabus or in the content area, okay? So that's it. I just wanted to give you that sort of quick tour. If you have any questions at all about the course, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You have my email in multiple places on the site and in the syllabus. I'm happy to answer questions by email, or if you ever want to do a Zoom call, I can do that too. So I'm really looking forward to the course. It's a course that I love teaching. It's very close to what I'm interested in and what I do as an anthropologist. So I think we'll have a great time. All right, we'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.